All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome into today's edition of In the Game. I am your host, 𝗪𝗀𝗻, and as always, we're going to be diving into the crypto gaming landscape today. And today we are going to be specifically diving into games themselves. So one of the consistent things that you'll see on Twitter, you'll see in the YouTube comments, you'll see the FUD of there's no good games. You know, Web3 gaming's taking so long to develop. Well, we're going to go over, I believe it is 12 games today. These are games that have either displayed gameplay or have live gameplay available for you to jump into right now. And I'm going to rank them from S tier down to D tier. We have done in the past gaming tier list of crypto gaming altcoins and crypto gaming blockchains. But today we're actually going to get into the nitty gritty, and we're going to tell you about the top, and I'm not saying these are the top 12 games. But these are 12 games we are going to rank on a tier list for you here based on product itself. So this is going to be a good one. You don't want to miss it. Without further ado, let's get in the game. And first and foremost, as always, like the video down below if you enjoy the content here on Banter or on In the Game. And shout out to our sponsors down below. And subscribe to the channel for content here every single day. But shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. Bybit, one of the leading exchanges in all of crypto for your long and short trading, as well as 𝗕𝗁𝗄𝗃, which is US friendly. All this KYC nonsense going on with exchanges out there. You definitely want to use an exchange if you're in the US that caters to US customers. So you can sign up for Bybit or 𝗕𝗁𝗄𝗃 down below. NordVPN, always navigate securely whenever you're navigating the blockchain. And last but not least, Vulcan Forge, one of the leading blockchain gaming studios in all of Web3. So let's go ahead and dive into it, guys. We're going to go over this one. This is going to be a rapid fire show, and we're going to dive into, like I said, 12 games here that A, are live, B, have had people play the games in public. So for example, Shrapnel, you can't play Shrapnel publicly right now, but at events in the past, they have let people jump in and play. So all of these games here are playable or have had gameplay in the user's hands. So we're going to talk about all of that in this edition, and we're going to rank these products from S to D tier. Let's start with the first one here. We're just going to go in order from left to right here on the bottom of the screen. DeFi Kingdoms. So DeFi Kingdoms, and actually the first couple, they fall into that Gen 1 Web3 gaming, right? So this was more of a GameFi play. So it's a gamified yield protocol. It is a gamified DEX, more to say, but they have been adding a lot of core features to their game, like hero battles and different elements that actually make this more of a game than it is a DeFi yield farm. So for these reasons, and for being an OG in the space and still surviving, you know, DeFi Kingdoms hasn't left. DeFi Kingdoms still here, completely building in the bear market, and their user count's good. I mean, like I said, they're adding layers to the game. Let's go ahead and put them in the C tier. Let's start with DeFi Kingdoms in the C tier. This is all maneuverable. So we'll go through this. And I didn't do this beforehand. This is actually going to be raw. This is going to be my opinions as we're flowing through it. So second on the list here is Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity needs no introduction. We know what Axie's done for the space. We know how many users they bridged in. We know how many lives they did change in numerous countries around the world. But with the Ponzi-nomics, with the SLP token, it did see quite a bit of a crash. But one thing you can never doubt is the user base that they have built is steady, and people are still playing Axie Infinity every single day, despite what people may think of the game, despite what people may think of the tokens. Axie Infinity's IP isn't going to go anywhere in the future. And for these reasons, you know, we're talking about games. You know, we're talking about, you know, is it fun? Is it something I want to play? I will go ahead and I will put this ahead of DeFi Kingdoms. I'm going to keep it in the C tier for the fact that, for me, Axie Infinity isn't a fun game, but they have survived. They have kept pushing. Their user numbers are the biggest in Web3 by far. and their IP is super strong. Their IP, the intellectual property, the characters, etc. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. 𝗕𝗏𝗵𝗍 has an absolute war chest to build this out. So I will also put Axie Infinity in the C tier from a product perspective. Now, if this was an overall project perspective, not just like, is the game good, it would probably be higher on the list. But let's throw Axie Infinity in the C tier because a lot of these games on the list are just better quality video games in general in Web3. And speaking of a better quality video game, 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡. 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡's showroom has recently went live where you can drive around your ships, you can go maneuver the open world, and honestly, it's coming together really nicely. I think that a lot of FUD came through the 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡 ecosystem with the ship sale and the value of those going down in the bear market, and people always were like joking, that 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡 would never, never make a return. I need to cleanse my palate real quick. Okay. People were saying that 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡 would never make a return, but 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡 has been completely head to the grind, and I am really impressed with what they've delivered so far. We're gonna put we're gonna put 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡 in the B tier. It is a much better video game than Axie or DeFi Kingdoms is, but for the fact that it's not fully live, and for the fact that it's hard to gauge community sentiment because it's not fully live, we're going to stick it in the B tier here because it is a very quality game, but at the same time, it's hard to judge completely because we don't have the full product. All right. The next one is probably the game that we've seen the most public sentiment about across all of Web3, and that's DeadDrop. That's Midnight Society, Dr. Disrespect's game. We've seen the biggest streamers in the world, Dr. Lupo, Dr. Disrespect. We've seen Tim the Tap Man hopping in here in front of hundreds of thousands of viewers, and they've rolled it out very nicely, snapshot style, where they're building out the game and letting us jump into it as it's being built. I would be foolish not to put this in the S tier. Right now, they've done the best job. They allowed people to onboard with the credit cards. They got an NFT. They don't have to bring it on chain. They can keep it off chain, or they can bring it onto OpenSea. The gameplay has been evolving step by step. They have probably the best overall influencer in Dr. Disrespect putting this thing forward. I'm going to put DeadDrop in the S tier, and I think that's a safe place to stick DeadDrop, in my opinion. All right, next is going to be Illuvium. We've had Kieran on the show multiple times, and I've absolutely been nothing short of impressed of what they've put together. The open world gameplay from Illuvium really does look solid, and it's hard to dispute that the overworld gameplay is one of the sharpest looking aesthetics in Web3 thus far. My only critique is whenever you're just roaming around, you need a little more to do, in my opinion. You need a little bit more of action, or there just needs to be more than just roaming the terrain. And at this point, that's a lot of what it is. Now, I know this isn't a full product, so we will take that into account. I am going to put Illuvium in the A tier. All right, so we've set ourselves here. We set up this list, and you can kind of see where this is going a bit, right? We have DeadDrop in the S tier. We have Illuvium in the A tier. It hasn't quite cracked the S for me because I need a little more options inside the landscape of Illuvium. We have 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗡 just a step below Illuvium in that B tier. And then so far we have Axie and DeFi Kingdoms in that C tier. So let's dive into probably the most talked about Web3 game in recent times. And that is, okay, other than Dr. Disrespect's DeadDrop. But the public sentiment behind 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗡, especially ever since they pushed the update and got the game listed on Epic Games, they have these new game modes. They have team deathmatch and different objective game modes, as you see here. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗡 has turned in from a roaming experience where you used to just roam the worlds and kind of skateboard and do some random fights and just kind of explore, to now player versus player. This thing is completely built out from Pixar level studio. I know the team very well over at 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗡, and I've absolutely loved what they have put together so far. And as far as a blockchain game, this is one of the top tier experiences that there is out there, because you can jump in with friends, you can have fun. There's multiple game modes. You can just roam the terrain if you'd like to. But at the same time, there's a lot going on within the Hooliverse. I'm going to call it the Hooliverse. But I love My Pet Hooligan. I would put them right behind DeadDrop on this list so far. And they are above Illuvium, in my opinion, based on the fact that the game is a little further down the track, in my opinion. There's just more features inside the world, right? So I'm going to put My Pet Hooligan up in that S tier. Now let's talk about one that people may not know a lot about, and that's NFL Rivals. NFL Rivals is a mobile game. So this is on your phone. You can actually download this right now. I'll just kind of give you a glimpse. I've been playing this game pretty nonstop, NFL Rivals. Like, this game is actually super fun. It's on your phone. You can jump right in. It's free to play. You don't have to spend any money. And it is a Web3 game. It's on off-chain. You know, a lot of the stuff does transact off-chain. But at the same time, this is from Mythical Games. They built Play Blankos. And this is on Android, iOS. You can buy, sell cards on the Mythical market. This is officially licensed by the NFL. So you can play with players like, you know, I was going to say someone who's not even in the league anymore because he's my favorite player. But players like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Donald, Jalen Hurts. Like, you can play with all these different all-pro, all-NFL players. And it's actually super fun. And for a mobile product, I think it's very, very well done. So I'm going to go ahead. Because it's a mobile game, it's not going to crack that B or A tier. But because it is, in my opinion, a more fun game than Axie Infinity and DeFi Kingdoms, I'm going to put it there. Personally, it's a better game. I get it. Axie has so many users. There's a lot of liquidity that's going into DeFi Kingdoms. I can hear all that stuff. But at the same time, the quality of product, the game itself, is simply better. And it's on a mobile phone. It's super easy to pick up. I have a flight tomorrow morning, and I'm going to actually play it on the flight. Like, I'm going to be trying to level up my team while I'm in air, right? So that is something I really have been picking up on. And mobile games, I think, have a huge space in the future of this industry of Web3 gaming. And I think that NFL Rivals is a great product. I wish WAGMI Games was a little further along in their launch process and people could have their hands on it. I would have put them on this list, and they probably would have fell in similar territory as well. But the three mobile games that I would really check out are NFL Rivals, WAGMI Games, and Honeyland at this point in time. But I think the most fun experience that you can 100% get your hands on the App Store today in the mobile space is probably NFL Rivals. Now let's get into the last 5 games here. Now, these are going to be hard. And right now, the list is shaping up where, you know, right now, Star Atlas is alone in that B tier. We have Illuvium alone in that A tier, right? So this is going to be interesting to see kind of where we rank the rest of these games. Let's go ahead and dive into it. We have Gods Unchained. I think that card games are here to stay. You see games like Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, in the normal Web 2 gaming space. And those OG games, they're forever games. They have player bases. They have communities. Gods Unchained has been the flagship project underneath the 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏𝗋 blockchain. And I think Gods Unchained is definitely here to stay. The question is, where does this fall? Oh, goodness. This is tough. This one's probably the toughest to rank, in my opinion, because it is a good game. It's a good product. Trading card games have a huge market. Even if I'm not a trading card game enthusiast, I think the market for this is massive, in my opinion. So, oh, goodness. Let's go ahead and put this in front of NFL Rivals. But for my preferences, I'm not a card game player. So if I was a card game player, maybe it goes up into that B tier. But because of the community sentiment, because of the live gameplay, because of the amount of users using it every single day, and once again, it's a better game than Axie and DeFi Kingdoms. And NFL Rivals, it's good, but I don't know if it's Gods Unchained good. Like, Gods Unchained is a great game. It really is. It's hard to dispute that. So I'm going to put Gods Unchained at the front of the C tier here on this list. Now let's get into a couple more games here. And this one you may or may not have heard of. This one was super popular a couple of months back when they did their Wild Pass. But this one is Wildcard. It's like a hybrid. It's an action arena sort of game. There's a lot of different characters. You pick your champion, you jump into the arena. I'll kind of give you a brief description here. In the PvP collectible card-based arena action game, the cards and strategies you choose for your deck matter just as much as your real-time skill with your champion. So this one has been getting a lot of public sentiment, and honestly, the game looks really good. I think that I need a live product more so to be able to put this higher on the list than where I'm about to put it. But because of the bullish sentiment across the space, I think Wildcard probably falls right behind 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 in that B tier, which is a pretty impressive spot for this team to land, in my opinion. I really like what Wildcard's done so far. So right now they're only behind stuff like DeadDrop, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Illuvium, and 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏, which I think is pretty impressive for this to fall. And I think Wildcard's doing a great job of building that ecosystem out. All right, last three here. And this one's one that's super familiar to the in-the-game users. I have talked about Shrapnel tons. I'm super bullish on Shrapnel. They have top-tier team, top-tier advisors like Myth, former Fortnite esports, super popular esports player in the Fortnite space. Team from HBO Interactive. They've done Call of Duty, Halo, Westworld, and even more. They had a gameplay of this at Consensus Austin. And the sentiment behind it was absolutely crazy. The gameplay does look super sharp. And although we can't jump into it today, I truly do think this is one of, if not, it's one of the best games in Web3. But it's going to fall here for now, because we don't have a live product to jump into. And it's not even open to holders or the public yet. Whereas Illuvium, they are available in the private beta stage. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's on Epic Game Store. DeadDrop is fully in their snapshots. I think that once more people get Shrapnel in their hands, this could easily move up the list. But for now, because most people haven't been able to play it or give it their own feel, I'm going to put it right behind Illuvium in that A tier at this moment in time. Now, the last two, these are going to be tough for me once again, because I am not a big brawler fan. I am not a big, the Brawl is on. So it's like an esports brawler from Gala Games. This is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 built into this game as well. It's been super stable. There's an active leaderboard, people grinding out this game every single day. But once again, I'm not a Brawler fan, but I'm not going to let this deter my ratings. I am going to put this. Oh gosh, this one's absolutely tough. Because it has more players, it has more competition than a lot of these different games. Ooh, this is really hard. Crap. This is why these tier lists are fun, guys. Spider Tanks, it's a tough one. It's between the B or the A tier for me because of the sentiment that it gets, the players that it has, and it's a fun game. It genuinely is. I'm just not a big Brawler fan. I don't know that it's on the level of Illuvium or Shrapnel. I don't know that I can put it there. But because it's fully live, and people can jump into it, there's a leaderboard, there's earnings, there's an economy already built in, I'm going to put it at the front of the B tier because Star Atlas is an unfinished product, Wildcard is an unfinished product, and Spider Tanks is definitely better than all 4 of the games in the C tier. So that's going to be my logic there. And last but not least, you may not recognize this logo, but this is a Solana game called the Heist. This is a passive game, so it's more based on the Gen 1 economics, where you send your chimps or your gorillas out on missions. They recently changed the emission structure in this game. I have been involved in this ecosystem in the past. I am not anymore. I just think that this model, although there's people who really want yield, and there are yield junkies out there in the gaming space still, I think that it's a little past its time. And we do need a game that falls in the D tier here. And, you know, the Heist community on Solana is super active. They might flood my comments in this video and say it should be rated higher. But I genuinely don't think it's better than DeFi Kingdoms, Axie, Rivals, Gods Unchained, or anything above it. So I'm going to put the Heist in the D tier because the community sentiment behind that game is crazy. People really love it. And it's hard to ignore the volume it's got on Solana, the floor price on Solana, as well as the people that are playing it. There's like thousands and thousands of missions done every single day inside of that ecosystem. So let's go ahead and sum this up, guys. In my S tier, the absolute best of the best, the creme de la creme of the Web3 games you can jump into now. That's primary. Like I think there's only one game on this list or two games that you can't technically play today. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think you can play Wildcard at this moment, and I don't think that you can play Shrapnel. I know you can't play Shrapnel at this moment in time. So excluding those two, but we have seen gameplay or I've had my hands on those products, so I know the quality of those games. We have DeadDrop at number one. I think that's undisputed. The things that they've done so far in the space speak for themselves. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 A tier, top quality games, top quality teams that could 100% end up in that S tier once we get the full product of those games. In the B tier, we have Spider Tanks in the lead, as well as followed by Star Atlas and Wildcard. In that C tier, we have a bunch of solid games, but they just don't crack the top of my list. Stuff like Gods Unchained, NFL Rivals, Axie Infinity, yes, is in the C tier. I know they have active users. I know they have a fantastic community. I know they have cool characters that have really good IP, but the game just isn't better than anything that's above it. So Axie Infinity, then DeFi Kingdoms. And then last but not least, I like this game, but it's just going to fall in the D tier. That is the Heist. So this is my current 12-game crypto gaming tier list. By no means am I saying that these are the best 12 games in Web3. So do not flood the comments telling me you forgot this game or you forgot this game. I just wanted to give you a rundown and tell you there are quality games out there, and there's games for everybody. There are open world, there are shooters, first person, third person, there are action games, there are creature capturers, there are brawlers, there are card games, there's sports games, there are still yield games. So there are games out there that you can get your fix on whatever you are looking for in the space. So I wanted to just give a diverse list here and rank 12 games that are out there live right now with gameplay or being able to hop in at this moment in time. Right now, I think you can hop in to DeadDrop, My Pet Hooligan, Illuvium, Spider Tanks. I think you can maybe, if you own like a ship, you can maybe get into Star Atlas. I know you can play Gods Unchained, NFL Rivals, Axie, DeFi Kingdoms, and the Heist. So at least 9 of these games you could potentially hop into today. So if any of these interest you, go check those out. I'll be back on Monday as always, guys. Like the video, subscribe for more here on In the Game and on Banter. And let me know your thoughts down below. Would you have ranked games a little differently from this list? Like I said, don't come in my comments saying you forgot this game. No, I didn't. I just put together a quick 12-game list of games you can jump into today. But if you would have ranked the game higher or lower, let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.